So thank you for downloading the video. The goal of today is to give you 3 exercises that you can use immediately with yourself or your clients, which is going to improve your hip mobility and strength, which will specifically carry over to running. So if you do these and do these well on a regular basis, you're going to reduce the likelihood of getting any hip pain, lower back pain, knee pain, and all the common things that hinder you from running well. So the first thing we're going to look at is actually mobility at the side of the hip. Now this area here is massively important for our running strength and stability. And a really easy way of assessing this is just to get people to stand in a position where imagine they're walking across a tightrope. So one foot directly in front of the other. Now, when we're doing this, it's going to put people slightly off balance. So immediately, just by doing this exercise, if people start to wobble, you know it's something they need to work on. So just standing like this can be the exercise. Now, quite commonly, a lot of people will lock one leg out and go like this and arch the lower back. So watch out for that. Bend the knee and just have the hips with a slight tuck. Nothing too emphasized, but just making sure they're not overarching. So what we're going to do once we're in this position is look at a rotation. So you stand like this and just going to simply twist to one side and then twist to the other side and look at somebody's mobility and stability. So in other words, how far can they move, and then how much of a restriction and how much are they able to move without falling over. Once we've done that and we know that there's a weaker side or identified that, we're then going to add something which is going to challenge the stability, so then get a strength overload. It's okay if you want to come in. So what we're going to add in is we're going to add in some form of movement now to challenge the hip stability. So you're going to get a kettlebell. I'd recommend starting quite light, so anything from a 4 to an 8 with most people. So we're going to go here, if you hold that for me please, and hold it hands in line like that. And go a little bit further back with that back knee and interlock the fingers like that. So what the goal is with this is that you want to ensure people aren't overarching, so they're not going into a deadlift position. They just want to make sure that it's just out in front of the knee, so there's a slight hinge like this. And then what you're going to do is just get them to rotate it slightly out of line of the body, like so, and then move it slowly that way, just very gently, just about 10 degrees each way, keeping the knees bent and just controlling that hip shift. So just a slow rotation like that, really good. Okay. As they start to get the hang of it, what you can then do is just do a gentle swing. So now it's getting a little bit of momentum. And what that'll do is it'll make the hips rock from side to side and shift, which will mean they'll have to load the outside of the feet and really fire up the outside of the hips. So that's really good. Well done. Now, Kate's doing this really well. If you want to switch feet, so we're just going to check if there's a difference on the other side. So remember, feet in line, make sure one toe doesn't point out and it stays in line like that. Slight bend in the knee and go into the side. Again, just shifting side to side like that. Again, don't let that knee lock out. So we've seen that this is a weaker side here. Now, when you have somebody who finds it harder on one side, you'd go with the pauses to begin with. So when I say by pauses, it's just holding yourself there, so go central. Just holding there to begin with is going to be hard enough. And what you can do as the coach is just give them a little bit of a nudge and challenge the stability like that. And as long as they keep the knees bent, they'll really have to load like that. It's a bit of fun, but trust me, it'll work quite well. Now, what you're trying to build up to is really big swings where you're taking it up from 10 degrees, maybe up to 20 to even 30, where you're going up to about there. So you can say, touch my hand like that and rotate from side to side. But again, what this does is it teaches somebody how to load the outside of the feet and the outside of the hip at the same time, which is great for this hip. So I'll take that for you there. Now, say you have somebody who has lower back pain, or they have some form of issue which is making that a little bit less appropriate, or maybe they're a little bit older and that is quite advanced. Now, the way we can do this is do the same exercise. So we're going to go there again. And we've got 2 choices. If somebody has good shoulders, so no type of shoulder issue, you can get them to put a dowel behind the back like that, roll the hands out to the side, and then what they do is just slightly rotate forward, so slightly hinge forward, and all they do is rotate, open up, so you're going to twist that way, good, and then twist the opposite way. So this is more of a mobility drill, but at the same time it will challenge that stability in the hips. So rotating that way, steady, and then rotate that way. If somebody has a shoulder issue and that is not possible, all you do is put the dowel on the opposite side, so spin it round. You're going to go place your hands across your chest there, Kate, like this. You get them to load like that, and you're going to do the same rotation, opening and closing. So rotating that way and rotating that way. So this is a brilliant exercise to begin a session with, purely because in doing so, you're stretching all the muscles and myofascia around here, and then you're going to send a stability stimulus, so basically enable them to get strong in different ranges and react. And that reaction is what we really need when we're running. So for this next one, you're going to need an exercise ball. This one is a 45 centimeter, but you can use any, and obviously a space by the wall. And what you're going to be doing is working on the strength in this hip here. So the way you're going to do that is bring yourself up like that. So the knee's going to be raised. You're going to have a slight bend in this knee, and you're going to shift and pick up. So the cue is get this hip higher than this one here. So in other words, hip drop is very common, where someone will drop to the side. We want to pick the hip up, and then we're going to keep this knee up. You're going to hold that position, and then you're going to twist and rotate and touch the wall like this. So it's going to be a rotation, twist to the wall like so. Okay, so Kate, if you can come through there. So we have gone with barefoot on this one, just because it is very good to grab the floor with. And what you're going to do is move a little bit more to the side, Kate. So there like that. Bring your knee up to your chest. That's it, good. And make sure that hip is higher than that one. Now, what you're looking for here is how much does someone collapse onto that foot? Because if you see them overly pronate, you know they'll be falling into pronation maybe too aggressively when they're heel striking. So what we want you to do is pick up that arch and get onto the outside of the foot on that side there. That's good. But drop down a little bit. That's it. So we want a strong foot position there. Slight bend in that knee. And then you're going to rotate and do 10 reps and twist into that side, keeping this right hip up, and so it's higher than the left. That's good. And what people more than likely feel is into the glutes there. Make sure that that knee stays bent. If somebody is particularly strong or a very competent runner, the way you can make this a little bit more challenging is then go onto the toes, so raise that heel up slightly. That's it, and then go again. And now you're going to be training the foot very aggressively, and as you see there, it becomes a bit more. So a common one with this one, which is where people will usually say, I can feel it in the wrong area, is that they may not feel the glute, they may actually start to feel the hip flexor in this side more. So in other words, when they're doing it, there's a weakness here, which means it's all taken over at the front, so they can't get into that glute. So an easy way of changing this round is put the ball on the floor, put the right foot up on there, please, Kate, like that. So what we've got now is the same position. We don't have as much of a challenge to this hip. So this hip isn't going to be working as hard because it's not pushing into something, but we've taken out the problem in this hip here, which again is something that happens a lot. So now we're going to repeat the exercise, but just rotating to the side. But this time, as you rotate, so as the person rotates, say you pick up this hip. So you're doing that, so you're getting that hip hike on that side. So we get the same stimulus. The wobbling that you're seeing is fine. It's just a challenge to balance and stability. So rotate round like that. Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay. So say you have somebody who couldn't do it the first one. You could bring it down and do that variation. And again, just get it to do slow. If they find it very challenging, it just means it's something they need to do more of. But then we're going to do a final variation for somebody who's actually very, very strong and you really an advanced runner that where you want to take things up a notch. So what I'm going to do here, I'll just show you first, is we're going to have the ball against the wall here, like so. I'm going to switch it round now. So now the knee on this side is bringing up, okay? So, Kate, if you can go there, you're going to bring that knee up here. And this is, think of it as a standing Copenhagen or adductor plank. So you're going to hold that position there now. And what you're going to do is you're going to push this knee hard into the ball and try and shift your hips to the left like that. So you'll really start to get a little bit of core and you'll feel how your adductor fires up. Okay. Once in that position, you're going to hold. You're going to do a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, push the ball into the wall with that adductor. And what it'll do is it'll send you onto the outside of the foot on the right, and you have to push your body back that way. So the hips go that way. So my knees go in here, my hips are going that way, and you'll get adductor and core and glute on that side. Yeah, good. Now, once they've got that, so we've got adductor, core, glute, so loads of great stuff we want for running, is now you're going to do nice deep breath in and breathe out, rotate. Good. And that rotation will make that glute on that side absolutely scream. And again, we're only going to do maybe 5 or 6 reps, because if you go over and try and do 10 to 12, that's really good. The person's more than likely going to get fatigued and not feel it in the right places. So remember, good quality reps done well, 5 or 6 breaths. So we're going to breathe in, breathe out of the rotation, and that's where the magic happens. So remember, if somebody struggles because of the hip, put the ball on the floor and do it stable. If somebody is fine doing it, you can do the hip hike. But if you've got an advanced athlete who really wants to challenge the core, glutes and everything, you can go for that last variation. Okay, so the final one we're going to be looking at is called a long lever glute medius exercise. So it's not the greatest in name, but just think it's a glute exercise, which again, you can do with very little equipment. You can do this one at home. So if you teach your clients how to do it, this is a great one to give them outside of the gym to keep that lower back and hips nice and healthy. So what you're going to do here is it's mainly targeting the muscles at the back of the hip here. Now, a lot of runners and a lot of people in general will start to use muscles at the front, which are called TFL, glute minimus, around here as stabilizers. And as these muscles thicken, that can have an effect on our hip health, giving hip irritation, and our lower back health as well. So if we can get these muscles here to work, it can be very, very effective. The key for this is positioning. So if you know where to position and how to position someone, that's where we'll get the best results when doing it. So, okay, if you can lie just side on, please. Make sure that somebody has a yoga block, or it can be a medicine ball, but just something to get the head to relax onto. And the main thing we want to do is first create some curve and flexion in the lower back. So basically take the lower back out of an extended position. So you say just bring your knees out to your chest like that. So you may see of clamshells. They're a very, very common exercise given. It's quite similar to that, but we're just going to add a little bit of a variation. So what you're going to do, Kate, is you're going to now straighten that leg out in front of you here, like so. So what we've got is that the lower back is now curved, which is what we want because it takes it out of that compressive state. We've now got the leg extended out, and now this leg being out far away from us is going to challenge into the glute. So where you can test people for this is if you just say, just lift that foot up towards the ceiling here. Now, depending on your relationship with your client, if you say, are you okay with me touching your hip? You can see what fires first. So if the client is happy for you to touch them and you've said and they've given you permission, you can place your fingers just on the glute or just go on the TFL and drop that down and back up and see which one has got more activity. So which one feels like it's working. And right now we do have a lot more in the front. So what you do is you have your foot like this, make sure the knee stays slightly bent, and you're going to say, do a corkscrew and rotate as much as you can so that toe is going up towards the ceiling. So I want you to keep rotating, keep rotating, keep rotating there. That's it. And if it's a bit stuck, again, that shows you what's going on at the hip. Now, when you keep that rotation, so I want you to say, turn that foot so it's rotating as much towards the ceiling as you can, you're going to hold it in that position. And you just get the client to hold it there to begin with. Now, once it's there, we want it to travel from the back of the hip, from the front of the hip to the back. So you keep it in this position, turn that foot, keep it turning there, that's it. And you're going to drop it down slowly towards the ground. So drop it down like that there. And then you take a nice deep breath in and bring up and slowly bring it up towards the ceiling. Breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Now, if somebody starts to excessively roll, you can let that relax. If someone starts to the hips excessively roll towards you, it shows that the hips are actually quite, so if the whole pelvis rolls towards you, the hips are quite tight and stuck. So what you can do is just act as a little barrier and just place either your hand or something to support the lower back. So it could be a medicine ball again, or it could be a foam roller. But we're going to go again. So we're going to go into that position. Lower back is nice and curved. Rotate that foot. So imagine that you're turning that foot so it's going out to their 2 o'clock. So 2 o'clock to them. And then they're going to get here. It's going to drop down. So slowly down to the ground like that. And it's slowly up. Breathe out and slowly pick up. And you want these fibers here to be really working hard. Keep going right the way up until the pelvis starts to move. You're going to pause there and then go back down, slowly there. And again, slowly pick up, breathing out, picking up through that glute position. Once you're there, you can do what you want. So you can play around with the client and say, keep it there, keep your foot in that position, keep it up. And now we're going to rotate. We're going to go into that 2 o'clock position. So get rotation through the knee like this and back. So rotate again. So rotate, rotate, rotate through the knee. And what you want them to be saying is the outside, so the back of the glute there is really burning on fire. You got that? Yeah. Okay. If you want to be really mean again, so if you've got somebody who is advanced or is doing a lot of running, you feel like you can tolerate it, the way you can do that is just pop your feet through there, pop your feet through there. And then you go with the band around the knees, so it is like a typical clamshell. But remember, lower back is curved. You're going to go straighten that leg out to the side. We're going to do the exact same, but this time we've got a bit of resistance. So now we're going to hold that position there, which is great. Now the key thing with this one is because of the resistance in the band, we don't need the foot to be extended as much. So you can bend the knee like this. You're going to bring the knee up like that. You're going to take a nice deep breath in, keep the knee there, and as you breathe out, keep the knee there, and I want you to rotate and bring that foot down towards the floor. So try and touch the floor like that, keeping this knee up. Good, good. Keep that there, and then raise that foot towards me, touch like that, and then touch the floor, keeping the knee up, foot down, knee up, foot down. And this is driving what's known as external rotation in the hip, and really gets those glute muscles working. Again, not at the front. These ones at the front have gone nice and soft and relaxed now, which is brilliant. And we've really fired up the ones at the back. If you can do that, again, for 5 or 6 reps each side, your clients will absolutely love you, and it'll have a huge effect on the hip mechanics and